Edo State. No one is talking about the Radisson, the hotel that he midwifed, nor is anyone talking about the Osiemo power plant. So it is understandable that, yes, when we talk about the cultural heritage and the cultural tradition of a people, especially people with a very rich cultural history, like the Benin people, the number one custodian of the Benin cultural heritage is the Oba of Benin. So it is understandable that the Oba of Benin will be interested in always coming to build a museum in Benin City, and what is the whole purpose of it. So the whole project, from my own understanding, started in 2018. There's from the minutes of the Benin Dialogue Group in a meeting in October 2018. The Benin Dialogue Group was an international consortium, right? Between some Europeans, the Benin Royal Court, Edo State government, and the National Commission for Museums and Monuments. So they came together, and they are actually agreed four main joint decisions that they agreed on. The four made joint decisions were that, one, a new Benin Royal Museum will be established in Benin City. So we have to take note of that name, Benin Royal Museum.
Okay.
So, and that museum will host a permanent rotating display of Benin artworks.
So this will be a discussion between the governor and the palace, or is it the Benin?
The Benin Dialogue Group actually met in October 2018, and I agreed these four main decisions. And as I said, the Benin Dialogue Group was an international consortium of Europeans, the Benin Royal Court, Edo State government, and the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, NCMM. So it was agreed that the Benin Royal Museum will be established in Benin City. And that museum will host a permanent rotating display of Benin artifacts. At that meeting, Governor Obaseki presented a detailed project plan. And that project plan was jointly put together by Edo State government, the Royal Court of Benin, and the National Commission for Museums and Monuments. The fourth decision action point that was agreed at that meeting is that a 3-year timeline was set for the delivery of the Benin Royal Museum. A 3-year timeline was set for the delivery. So, starting from 2018 when the project took off, so we should have been expecting the museum to be in place by the end of 2021. So the question most people are asking now today is, what happened? Where is the Benin Royal Museum? And what happened to that international consortium? And how did the Benin Royal Museum change to, a MOWAA and later MOWAA? So how did that name MOWAA and MOWAA came to be? And who gave the authority for the change? You see where the contention is.
Come from.
So, my point is that at some point along the line, Governor Obaseki government sidelined the Benin Royal Court.
That is your opinion.
This is my opinion. So, but what is actually not clear to me, or what's not clear to quite a lot of people, is that why? Why did he then decide to sideline the Benin Royal Court? The Benin Royal Court was not part of the project anymore. So it went from the Benin Royal Museum to Governor Obaseki and some people, some European foreign donors, and a group of other people.
British museums,
the British Museum, the German government, were they agreed that they were going to build a museum in Benin City that will be run by independent persons, right? So, who took that decision to have that, change of course?
I think, because from my understanding, that the son of the Oba of Benin is still on the board of directors of this MOWAA.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. So what happened is that at some point he also withdrew.
Okay.
Yeah. So from what we have heard from the statements that are available to us publicly, it looked like even the representation of the royal court was not approved by the Oba of Benin.
Okay.
It wasn't approved by the Oba of Benin. So, and at some point, the Oba of Benin wasn't actually interested in going forward anymore. Because at this time, quite a lot of things have already changed. So they, went and incorporated a non-profit organization, limited by guarantee, that they call, I don't remember what they call it, but it's Legacy Restoration Trust.
Okay.
So Legacy Restoration Trust now appears to be the special purpose vehicle to drive the project forward. So, and at this time, the name Benin Royal Museum has completely vanished.
Changed.
Has completely disappeared from their, documentation, and has also completely disappeared from whatever
initial plan, or the Oba of Benin wants. I do have a question though. So the question is, why is the name creating so much problems? Does it matter whether it's Benin or Edo or just MOWAA? Does it West Africa? Does it matter what name it is, particularly if it is situated in the heart of Benin City? And if this is according to report, because I did write an article about this, if it's going to generate about 30,000 jobs for Edo people. So why does the name, or who hold on to this, why does this matter?
I don't think the contention is about the name. Names are things that can be changed very easily. It could be changed back to Benin Royal Museum. That can be changed very easily. I don't think that the problem is with the name.
Okay.
The problem is with not just with the foundation of the project itself, but also with quite a lot of other things like the management of the trust, who manages the trust, who has responsibility for protecting the Benin cultural heritage, who has responsibility for deciding what the content strategy of that museum would be. What would the museum be showing to the public at what point in time?
Yeah.
So who has control over all of those things? So we're not talking about a private trust, incorporated private trust, limited by guarantee.
Yeah, but this, I see my only concern with this fracas is, I understand there is concern about ownership, but the trust, the private trust now, is not owning or owning any of these artifacts. They are borrowing. It's like British Museum. Every artwork you see in the British Museum is not owned by the British Museum. They are borrowed from different countries, individual collectors, and even in this case in Edo State could be a collection from the Upper Palace being placed there. Some of them could just be a replica, not original. Again, so there is no problem here yet from what I understand, because museums don't normally own these artifacts. So if Oba of Benin, because the previous government by Muhammadu Buhari declared Oba of Benin as the owner of the repatriated artifacts, right? So it is established by law that this belongs to the Oba Palace.
Yeah.
Okay, so why is there still a problem? If this is established, and we know that if there is artifacts are placed in the museum in Edo State, is the real ownership will still be the Oba of Benin. The annual generation of fund from this museum is estimated to be around 80 million for 50 million project annually. This will be a huge transformation for Edo State. So why are we allowing the name or any of these things to step in the way when we are about to put Benin City in the world map?
Yeah, because it was not actually properly managed. So let me actually try to establish the point of why that is important, right? So, I said initially that we are talking about the cultural treasury of a people. And talking about the cultural treasury of a people, the Oba Benin is the custodian of the Benin culture, right? So we have an agreement, a gentleman's agreement, to build the Benin Royal Museum. And the building of that Benin Royal Museum, the Benin Royal Museum was going to be host to all the repatriated artifacts, whether the one that will be loaned back or be given back permanently. That museum was supposed to be the the house for the new for those artifacts. Now you get to a point where you now use the allure of Benin bronzes, which is known all over the world. Everybody around the world knows that Benin City
is
or the Benin Kingdom is the home of bronzes around the world. So this is a treasure, right? This is not just a treasure for the Benin people, but it's also a national treasure. So you can't have a project around something as tangible and as important to a people as that and sideline the custodian of the people and the custodian of the people's culture, right? After you had actually started a project to build it with him, right? Don't forget that we are saying that that was the beginning of the vision to build a museum in Benin. So the European donors who keyed into it and international donors who were making donations on behalf of their governments or on behalf of their museum to actualize that project in Benin City are doing so because of the allure of Benin bronzes and also for the fact that Benin City is regarded as the home of bronzes, right? So why would the Oba of Benin not be interested in knowing or wanting to be part of that kind of arrangement? Of course, it should be not just only at the head, but also at the heart and center of it. So now you have successfully sidelined him. You brought people from outside, most of them from outside the state, and there are also allegations that some of the people who are on the management of this new MOWAA museum are either ex or current financial business associate of former Governor Obaseki. So the question is, just only looking at the ethical part of that. The question now is, who appointed those people? Who decided that it wasn't going to be called the Benin Royal Museum? Where was that decision made? Where is the consensus? There was a consensus with the Benin Dialogue Group, right? Which I said is an international consortium, right? So where is the consensus to shift away from that vision, and take ownership of the momentum that this vision has already created, and also take ownership of the project, right? The Oba of Benin is the custodian of the Benin cultural heritage, right? So it should be not just at the head, but also at the center and heart of anything that has to do with a project of that nature. And we are now also saying that the vision to have a museum in Benin City started from him, his idea of building a Benin Royal Museum. So you now took that vision took away the foreign partners and now turn it into a private trust. It just doesn't make any sense.
All right. So my next question is, I know the date for 11th of November, on the inauguration date, was announced some time ago.
Yeah.
This was under the government of Monday Ogiehor.
Okay.
Yeah. So he knew of the date. He knew the dignitaries that would be coming into Edo State, ambassadors from different countries, dignitaries from the art world. They all came into Edo State. So the question is, why did Governor Ogiehor allow everybody to come into Edo State before realizing, oh wait, there is a problem? The certificate of occupancy need to be withdrawn now that people are protesting. Why did he wait this much? Why didn't he do this before the date of the inauguration so that people don't leave their home? Why the disgrace?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a fan of Governor Ogiehor because of several missteps, right? Not just with the management of the whole crisis around this museum, but also with the management of the lack of it in so many other different areas as well. So that was an unfortunate incident. What happened? Because you can have 5 very important countries ambassadors coming into a state, coming into the city, the city, and not have adequate security for them. So adequate protection for them.
It was a disgrace.
So it was a disgrace. So and that now that scar now also kind of like has some international dimension to it.
It does,
right? So you saw the article in New York Times and Washington Post. So an article there as well too. So no one is happy about what happened. It could have been prevented if Governor Ogiehor was up to task.
If he had taken the first step to just say, this has no result, inauguration postponed indefinitely until this matter is resolved.
Right.
But this wasn't done.
No.
The next day after the protest that brought disgrace to everybody is when the governor said, oh, listen, we need to investigate how this MOWAA changed to MOWAA, certificate of occupancy whatsoever, everything withdrawn. I don't think that was the right step for this situation. It could have been prevented.
I think the management, this whole stakeholders management around the project has been complete shambles. So not just only with Governor, but also with Governor Obaseki as well, because Governor Obaseki created this crisis, right? So this is not just something that came out of nowhere. So he created a crisis because by certain type of things, that actions and decisions that he took without really actually carrying the other stakeholders along, right? So you change the name of the museum, you incorporated a trust, a private trust, you spend a lot of government money, donated government land, a very important government land. So if you know, I don't know if you know about it, that land actually belongs to the Benin Royal Court.
So I think that is a former location for the center.
That land belongs to it was part of the Royal Palace. Okay. It was taken away by the British. Okay. As a way of trying to reduce the power of the Oba of Benin. They decided to build a hospital there. So that land originally belongs to the Benin Royal Court, right? So you give such an important, priceless land away, and
for a purpose.
If you listen to some of the defenses coming from his camp, people say that, oh, it's going to create a lot of jobs for as long as it helps the Edo economy. No, we're talking about the cultural treasure of a people. That is much more important than any other consideration. So we must protect our cultural identity, and we must make sure that no one comes here and messes up with it, right? So for me, that's actually more important than any other thing. I understand the fact that they said is going to create about 25,000 direct and indirect jobs. It will help the economy grow the economy,
and it will put us on the map.
And it will put us on the map, and it will bring in quite a lot of tourists to Benin, tourists and probably maybe investors as well to Benin City. So I think his original plan for the very beginning, if you look at the vision of the project plan that he shared with the Benin Dialogue Group, the plan was actually to build a cultural district, not just a museum, but a cultural district that will have walkways, playground, parks.
This is a 4-wing destination. We're just finishing one side.
Yes, so it was also supposed to have things like, places where there will be hotel and restaurants with international dimension and international outlook. So all that are very important. Right. So the project was mismanaged, right? So the change, not just only the change of name, but change of ownership, change of management, with all of the things that I was trying to explain about a cultural district, with all the other things that were going to be put in place. How is it possible for you to realize things like that using a private vehicle, not something that is driven by government? Can the management of MOWAA today decide that they are going to take over some land close to the museum and build a hotel there? Can they do that without Edo State government?
No.
So you spend quite a lot of government money. You not just only invested government money, but also land and a few other things. Don't forget that they were having meetings all over the place around the world. Under what platform? Right? On behalf of Edo State government. And Edo State government does not even have a stake in it. The people are saying that, the British Royal Museum is also run by private individuals or things like that. But you can't become a trustee of the British Royal Museum if you do not get nominated by the trustee and approved by the Prime Minister. The museum is accountable to the British Parliament, to the British people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
They are coming to build that type of museum in Benin, especially when it touches on that very sensitive area as the cultural treasure of a people. The Oba of Benin must not just only be at the head, but it must be at the heart.
Yeah, and there is distrust. There is distrust.
So the point now is there a way back or road back?
I was trying to point out the distrust between Edo people and the foreign agents because of what happened in the past. Yeah, distrust. The artifacts left the country because of the people they trusted.
The Oba of Benin also when the ambassadors visited him at the palace, it's one statement that he made, said, my ancestors suffered a lot.
Exactly. So that is part of the issue.
Why is it also now still happening in this day and time when we say we are now an independent country? We are now a free people. We are no longer under British rule, right? We don't regard ourselves as a conquered people. So why are they trying to sideline the owners?
Well, this is an interesting story. We can discuss it all day.
Yes.
Let's take ourselves now to the aspect of still in Benin City. Let's talk about the problem that is just emanating there. It's been there for a very long time. It was suppressed and it's coming back again. That is the issue of security, right? Since the current government assumed office, the problem of security has escalated almost out of control. No one is safe. How do you think this is affecting the possible investments and development of Edo State?
I mean, it's just not a problem for Edo State alone. I mean, this is a big problem for the entire country, right? So it has also now started to attract international attention.
Yes,
right?
it does.
President Trump himself has tweeted about it. And there are other foreign governments also have had one comment or the other about it. So let us also not pretend that all is well. I mean, we're all Nigerians, so we know what is going on, right? So why is it not difficult for an average Nigerian just to be able to make a journey from one place to the other in Nigeria, even as short as a journey of just only 5 miles, 5 miles or 5 kilometers?
Yeah.
Why is it not impossible? So the security challenges in Nigeria is actually, to be honest, is really getting out of hand. So it is probably maybe time for Nigeria as a country to take a holistic look at it and look at possibility of asking for help. Maybe external help. I mean, Jonathan tried it. He brought in foreign mercenaries, and we all know what happened at that time. Many, terrorists that were killed, some were captured. But as I always say, you can't wipe out terrorism just by the use of force alone. There is no military strong enough in the entire world, the entire universe, that can actually wipe out terrorism. Like cancer. Very, very difficult, because it's also somehow a cultural thing, right? Has connection with religion, has connection with their people way of life, has connection with the way people are wired, the way they think and all that. So you have to not just only use force, which is necessary at this point, because you have to ensure that there's security and order, but you also have to use other kind of incentives as well, such as education and infrastructural development. Education and infrastructural development are the biggest weapon to fight terrorism, because what does it do? It changes the way people are wired, the way people think. I do have a so probably maybe on a longer term.
I do have a question there.
Yeah.
How are the international communities, international countries, are able to eradicate terrorism or religious terrorism from their country? Because we're talking about how it is affecting mostly Africa and Middle East. How are these Western countries able to remove it from their society? We live in the UK here. We don't hear people strapping up and going to the public domain, regularly exploding themselves and trying to cause chaos and kidnapping people in mass in schools and everywhere, and then threatening to massacre them for whatever reason. We don't hear this in developed countries. Why is it in the developing countries?
The answer is in the same area that we've been actually talking about. For example, the level of maturity of their infrastructure is far ahead of what you have in Africa or other part of the world that you were talking about, right? So which means when it comes to crime detection, they have the better capability to be able to deal with it. So their response time, the information gathering capability and things like that are much more robust and more mature than we have in those other countries. So I'm not saying that they also don't have their own share of the problem, but you also have to look at their educational program. No one in England is an amajiri on the street.
But there are a lot of homeless now.
But you don't have the abandoned child system where it's in this country it is compulsory. Every child up to the age of 16 must be in school. If a child is not in school today, the parents will get a phone call and the government will follow up. It will become a social or a community issue, and they will make sure that they get to the bottom of why is this child not at school. So do we have those type of programs in countries like in Nigeria? Maybe not to to a lesser degree, not as effective as you have it here.
Okay.
Right? So our educational system, our policing system, our infrastructure, the level of our infrastructural development, they all still lag behind in terms of being able to, address societal issues, right? So all these things are designed, whether you talk about your educational system or social programs or your policing system, they are all designed to bring harmony to the society. And unfortunately, we don't have that level of sophistication in all those areas that I mentioned.
Yeah, but
that's one side of it. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, when you don't really have it here, is that what we have seen with terrorism, if you look at the historical development of terrorism, the way that the mobility, let's call it now, the global mobility of terrorism, you will see that they are usually always looking for softer spots. They are looking for countries where they can, they can easily establish their own rule, or force their own rule down our throat. So Africa is now, you could say, a front line of terrorism.
Yeah, but it's not that they've not tried it in foreign countries.
Yeah.
America, Boston, attack in UK here. There have been attacks here.
Yeah.
But every time they try it, the Western government don't just attack those pawns and go back home.
No.
They go after their figurehead every time.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
Okay, so now that I'm sure that is part of what have made them to pull back from trying to attack international. Like Osama bin Laden, he did his bit. He thought he was just going to hide.
Yeah,
they dug into his home.
Yeah.
No, he didn't even know that his spies were amongst them. They dug into his home. They killed him in his home. A lot of his people died in the process. But in Nigeria,
I agree with you. I think what we also need to take a look at a little bit is to look at the characteristics of urban terrorism and how that manifests itself in terms of their philosophy and in terms of the goals and objectives that they have, right? So you could easily, for example, see what the whole motivation is. If, for example, you want to probably maybe go to 9/11 or look at other type of terrorists strike around the world in developed countries, you can easily tell what the motivations are. But in a case like in Nigeria, how many people actually know what they are fighting for?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Let's take it to Edo State, for example.
Yes.
Adoption, kidnapping. Yeah, that is not even religious.
Yeah. So those are economic problems, right? So as I always say, that culture cannot be cleanly separated from, economics cannot be cleanly separated from culture, right? So when you have economic backwardness, where, for example, you can't get by your living wage, right? No one in Nigeria can get by with a living wage. Low wages, high galloping inflation, control cost of living. So people have to make ends meet. People have to be able to provide for themselves. So now that kidnapping has now been seen for many of them as an easy and quick and easy lucrative way for them to make money and for them to make ends meet for themselves and their family. So it's becoming a big societal problem.
But do you think that the generational change is contributing to this? There have always been a problem with the cost of living in Nigeria compared to the stipend of remuneration. Yeah, but now we have people who've never worked in their entire life, not willing to apply for a job, not willing to be employed or get a wage, not willing to do any of that. They grow up, the first thing they want to do is, how do I get rich? And then they join themselves into some group, or at least we're talking about Yahoo scam that is not killing people, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's killing people softly, but not killing people, taking a gun and shooting them. That is not the purpose of it. But the issue of adoption, kidnapping, even sometimes killing your victims, I think this is the next level. And since Monday Ogbawolo became the governor, this has increased because I think he disbanded the vigilante group that was helping in Edo State to curb this atrocity.
Yeah.
So what do you think, how do you think we can turn around Edo State and make it a safer place? Because if there is proper security in the state, the government will be able to attract investors when they know they are safe with their money. So how do you think we can turn things around, particularly in Edo State? Let's use that as the point of discussion.
Yes, what I know is that Governor Obaseki actually built a command and control center, right? That was driven by technology, where they could isolate any part of the state and be able to stay focused and be able to monitor what is going on in that state. I understand now that that command and control center is actually not there anymore. It's not being funded. So many of us don't really quite understand why Governor Ogiehor is not just only trying to distance himself away from Obaseki's legacy, but also they're trying to
destroy.
The word destroy is probably maybe not the fit word to use in this context, but also actively not just discontinuing some of the program and projects that Obaseki did in the past, some of them which are positive, great, like the GIS, and I understand now that the GIS also just doesn't function anymore. So what is his motivation for that? Why is he trying to, as much as possible? We know that you want to, eclipse, Obaseki's legacy or whatever it is that Obaseki built. But not about the projects that were built for the growth, development and progress of the state. So why does he have problem with it? So is it a capacity problem that he is not able to see the benefit of those projects, or does not have the capacity to continue with them? So that's something that's not also quite clear to me why. So yes, you are right. Those are contributing factors as well, right? So, but I have to say with a caveat that I don't think going the vigilante way is also the solution to things, because we don't know of any country in the world where that kind of particular type of model works. If you look at a country like Haiti, for example, where they have vigilante group in almost every 5 kilometers, the homicide rate in Haiti on a per capita basis is the highest in the world. The number of people that are being killed on a daily basis on the streets of Haiti. So going the vigilante way is not really quite it. Technology, probably that technology can help. Having a data-driven approach to policing, community policing, and as I've always said, just let us probably maybe look at just the South-South zone. So how integrated are we? So do we have a platform of integrating our security architecture as a region together? For example, a kidnapper is running away from Delta State, the next minute is operating in Edo State. So do we have the opportunity to share intelligence across states? Do we have collaboration between the policing or the security apparatus in Delta with Edo and Ondo? And do we have that kind of integration like that? So that's also something that I don't see. So, and as I have always said, we need to drive, or we need to push a bit more for regional integration. Okay. I think that probably maybe will help in a way, because you see someone who was on a wanted list for a very long time in Delta came to Edo and I was operating in Edo. Kidnapped quite a lot of people, kidnapped Barrister Ogiehor and so many other prominent people in Edo. So we need those are all of the things that we need to look at. I think technology actually can play a role. So, is the police adequately funded? The military deliberately underfunded the police because they didn't want the police to have the same capability as they have, so that policemen or police people could not be used to carry out coups. So the military regime deliberately underfunded the Nigerian police.
That was decades ago.
But the problem is that culture has continued. Yeah. So if the police is not well funded, right, and we don't actually have good programs in the police force that can bring people up to speed on new techniques, training, development. So if you don't have all those type of things going on, how are you going to be able to keep up? Because usually the criminals are always about 2 or 3 steps ahead.
They learn the new techniques, new technology to evade police.
Especially with the bipolar world that we have now, everyone have access to everything, so people can source information very quickly. You know, so it's as you said, I don't think that it's just an Okpebolo problem or Edo State problem alone. I think Nigeria as a country, I think we are actually really going through trying periods.
I agree. I only brought in Okpebolo because since I know under Obaseki there was adoption, but he was able to curb it using the police and all. But now it's just rearing the ugly head up again. Now that is bothersome.
Yes. Governor Okpebolo definitely need to sit up as far as that area is concerned.
Okay, thank you. Well, guys, this is a discussion with Mr. Paul Nosa Ogiehor in the UK. Here we're just discussing every bits and bits of every topic today, from MOWAA to securities, and now we will be talking about the political parties in Nigeria, PDP versus APC, as there is a dynamics playing out in the federal level in the recent convention held by the PDP. So we are going to discuss that now. Mr. Ogiehor, recently there was this ton of event for Nelson White, the former governor of Wike, Wike, the former governor of Rivers State. He was suspended after years of anti-parties activities. So what do you think, where do you think this places PDP, because the House is severely divided? What power do you think they can garner before the next election to challenge the APC government?
I think most people, most Nigerians actually know what is going on in Nigeria. So what is actually going on is that the current government, they are trying as much as they can to destroy all the other political parties in Nigeria. Any other political parties in Nigeria that has relevance at all, has following, they are trying as much as possible to destroy those parties. So what are they doing? They are planting their people in each of those parties to raise
to create confusion,
to create problems, so that, because the electoral law says if there are more than one faction of a political party, then a state of dispute will be declared. So which means INEC will come in, others will come in, So what we now see is that this current government, so you see a situation where people now also openly talk about state capture, right? Where the instrument of state, most of the agencies that should be independent for every Nigerian, for everyone in the country, that these people now have been, these agencies have been captured. They actually now are part of the APC. They now work for the APC. INEC is an example. Yeah, you saw how Edo election. You know my views about that last Edo governorship election. You saw what happened in several other areas, right? So what I'm trying to say is that this is not just a PDP or Wike problem. This is a political blueprint that has been designed by this current government with President Tinubu as the head, to try to destroy all other parties. It's all about 2027. And it's unfortunate that 2027, which is still about 2.5 years away, is really taking that so much of their time and their attention instead of governance, instead of focus to try to bring about programs, policies to help the development of the country. So the focus is just on the next election, right? So that's one issue that we're having. But I think that majority of Nigerians know exactly what is going on.
Okay.
So how that will play out in 2027, because we see a realignment now. We see a new party, for example, ADC, that has just been registered. We see quite a lot of people jumping in from PDP and some other party into ADC. So we don't know how that way, how that eventually will play out at the end of the day. But if President Tinubu is not delivering to Nigerians, no matter what they do, no matter the problems or confusion they create in other party, he is not going to have it easy in 2020. I can assure you.
Do you think Tinubu is delivering?
Well, in some areas, yes, but in certain areas, not. Where I will talk about some of the things that he has done that I personally, as a person, can applaud him for.
Okay.
So, for example, he was very choking up to the last end of Buhari's regime. We had this discussion last time, you and I. So, the Nigerian debt servicing to revenue ratio was somewhere around 97%. That's now under 50%. So, which means the government has a little bit of some breathing space.
They have control over it.
In terms of the finances. So, they are actually now able to have a bit more money for development and for other programs as well. So what I would also say is that we have also seen a major boost in non-oil revenue.
Okay.
Right? As at September, August this year, up to the tune of about 20 trillion naira. That's quite a lot of money, right? That the government is able to raise through non-oil sources. And we have seen a jump in revenue with about 411% as at September 2025 compared to March 2023.
Well, how are they able to generate this revenue? What's changed?
Well, quite a lot of things, tax reforms, the removal of oil subsidy, generating quite a lot of money for the government, the consolidation of the Naira exchange rate into one regime instead of having multiple different exchange rate regime. And so you also see with that is that you have a little bit of stability now around the dollar. And as I have always said, it's not about the unit of exchange. It's not about whether it is 2,000 naira to $1 or 5,000 naira to $1 or 20 naira to $1. What is important is the stability, the level of volatility, right? So if the dollar, as we have seen now for nearly almost about 18 months, stays its course, stay within the boundary of where it is, where it has been for all that period of time, then it means that managers can plan, they can have a much longer plan, they can predict what is going on, they are then able to allocate their budget and able to create more opportunities in the economy, able to buy more and able to create more demand in the entire ecosystem. So that's a relief to the government, to see that record-breaking oil revenue reaching 20 trillion as at August 2025. So it's I think that's something that we should applaud them for. But you are able to generate revenue. It's not the end of the story. What about the other side of the story? What is that money now being used for? Right. So with that money, is it generating enough to really help cushion the pains and the effect that that the whole removal of subsidy has on the people. I have my doubt if that is the case, because you still have a situation where inflation is really at cutthroat. Inflation inflation as at today is about 32.3%, 32.1 or 32.3%.
That's extremely high.
That's extremely high. So cost of living. So what is Nigerian minimum wage? Is it a living wage or livable wage?
Still less than
it is not. So, and on average, the Nigerian living wage is about $23 per month. So what is that going to put on the table for the family? People, you don't really see. Government now have more money. That is true. They can actually now run more projects. You see, for example, the construction of the Outer Southern Expressway in Abuja, which the federal government just completed. That's a huge infrastructure improvement. But how do you also now question the effect of the removal of subsidy on the people? Look at the cost of living. How much does a bag of rice cost now? How much does a bag of garri cost? So for the ordinary person on the street, the problem is still there. And you also have to understand the fact that widespread poverty, more Nigerians have fallen into poverty since the inception of this administration.
But don't you think it is also time that Nigerians are educated on the family planning? Because I understand that in Nigeria, the major problem is that family don't really plan. They can have 5 children with $23 of minimum wage, with no future plan to cushion or even try to transition their hardship through this process. They don't have that plan at all. They just have to, they believe God gives children, God will give resources to take care of these kids.
Of course, God will provide.
Yeah, but isn't this, because when you live in a society where you don't have government assistance, the cost of living is at a bottleneck, there is nothing to do to you. You have to plan. If you wanted to have 5, at least start with 2 to see how it goes. Yeah. So why are Nigerian families not doing this?
Why do they have to do it? What is the incentive for them to not have as much as the number of children?
I don't think it's incentives. I think that when you see the situation where you are, if you plan for 5 kids before, you now realize that this is not achievable based on the resources you have, you can find a way to restructure, right?
I don't know whether Nigerians are actually able to see or feel that population growth in principle is not much of a big deal or problem, right? What is a problem is that if the economy is not keeping pace with the population growth, so if population is growing at 2%, GDP should be growing at 3 or 4%, right? So if the economy is growing faster than the population rate, then that is not a problem. So on the personal level, I understand exactly what you are saying. So we don't have a functioning system, right? Here in the UK, for example, it is almost impossible for any person or family to decide and say, we want to have as many as 10 children or 20 children. It's not possible in the first place. Who is going to do the school runs? Who's going to take the children to school? So everything is planned and set in such a way that if you have more than 3 children, you will suffer.
Yes.
You will burn under the system. Why? Because you will not be able to keep pace with, providing for them, getting a place for them to have a decent life and being able to meet with their needs. But in Nigeria, people don't care. When they have children, the children eventually will go and look after themselves.
Exactly. Now that is the lack of responsibility.
Yes, so that's
contributing to this problem.
That's a lack of responsibility, but because it's also not really, for most of them, not affecting them directly.
But it is affecting them with children going to hawk on the street. Some children who are just children of 10 to 12 years old, daughters are being girls, hawking themselves, trying to get penny. They already start taking care of themselves from a very tender age
Yeah,
when
so-
they are supposed to be children.
Whose fault is that?
Parents.
No, not only parents, but also government's responsibilities as
yeah.
well. Is government providing education? Is government providing a pathway for those children to have a fulfilled life? They are not.
Yeah, but in the UK here, some people have 2 free jobs
Yes.
because they have mouths to feed.
Yes.
Right? So parents in Nigeria, they keep to one job. Again, they can have 2 jobs. Even the money from the 2 jobs might not even be enough to take care of the 5 kids because, again, things are very expensive. But you should also know what your children are up to. Try to protect them. Not when you see your child now putting things on the head to market, sell on the street, young girls who are not even up to age. You see, because a lot of pervs are in Nigeria there. Some of them are even wanting their daughters to marry of 14, 15 years old, can leave home 3 days, not coming. Nowadays, I'm saying, not coming back home. You just say they are thinking at least -1 month for me to feed. You brought them here. You know this austerity. These children are now struggling to take care of themselves. You know that the government is not coming before you make all these plans. So while we are blaming the government, I agree, but we should be pointing fingers at these parents too, who over the years know the struggle they went through to become who they are today, and they are taking their own children through the same process.
Let me just quickly throw this one out there that the population growth is a net asset to development, right? It's not a negative, it's not usually necessarily always a negative thing. So you also have people in this society that have 8 children or more, or adopted children. So what I'm trying to say is that when you have a system is able to account for everybody. The system is able to know where each child is at any given point in time. If my child is not at school today, I will be getting phone calls, I will be getting text messages of instances, not just only their school, but also other instances where they will want to find out what is going on, what has happened, why is the child not in school. So we don't have that level of sophistication of maturity of our systems. We don't even have any of those systems, right?
We don't have anything in place at all.
Right. So if we have good systems like that, where as a dad, you will be called upon 2 times or 3 times within a week because of a particular issue with your children. No one is going to tell you that you will not be able to manage if you have too many children, right? No one is going to tell you that, it will become an issue with you because why? The system holds you responsible.
They are the parents, yes.
The system holds the parents responsible.
Yes, so
some parents go to prison in this country because of what they call child neglect.
That is what should be happening in Nigeria.
Yes.
So parents should sit up.
Yes.
I just feel that the vulnerable children out there are being haunted by white criminals. Even sometimes
Nigeria have about 14 million out of school children. That's
teachers,
not something to be proud about.
Teachers are the perpetrators.
Yes.
Impregnating their students who are just in the secondary school. So these are areas that parents should be sitting up. Government should be protecting their children, and the parents should be planning. Again, I still believe there is a need for proper planning. I know that if I'm in the UK here, I know I can have 2 free children if I wanted to. I'll be able to get the resources to take care of them. I have 1. Right, and in Nigeria, 1 person will have 7 children.
Or more.
And 1 man will be having 3 wives. And then you go to where they live, it's like a shithole. And then they don't care how to take care of them. They just give birth.
It's the lack of
responsibility. The
lack of responsibility on the part of the parents, but in the bigger picture is the lack of proper planning of the societal structure. So you can't have a child and not give the child the small little opportunity to survive, right? You can't have a system where you have a child and the child is thrown into the world. In this part of the world, the government will hold you responsible or accountable, right?
Exactly.
They will hold you accountable or responsible. So what I still want to see, if we want to go to a place like Edo State, for example, where the former commissioner for education came up with so many different type of robust programs, right? Programs to not only look after every child, but also look into the child's development and look at, for example, which child is a special child that may also need some special kind of development. So, do we still have any of those type of programs today? I very much doubt if they are there.
Yeah, I'm sure they're there.
She started very well, but you have to be able to have continuity in this type of thing. So, and as I said, the education of a child must be a total thing. So you must not provide this little bit and say, oh, we are providing this, but these other bits are completely, non-existent or neglected. So if a child is not at school, whose responsibility it is to find out what is going on? So
parents should know their children are at school. School should be aware that
if a child is on the street hawking at a time when he or she should be at school, why don't we have a system to hold the parent of that child responsible?
My question.
Right. So the education of a child is not just about bringing a child to the classroom alone, but it is also about managing all the other peripherals that has to do with the education and development of the child.
Yeah, that's that includes the aspect of 17, 16 years old boy coming home to say, I just bought a car for my mom, and he's never been employed once in his life.
The mom will be
celebrating.
Yeah.
Now, this is the lack of responsibility.
Yes, or someone is appointed as a commissioner, and then he will go to the church and do Thanksgiving, and he will call a party and be celebrating. So you've been asked to come and serve.
Yes.
But you are celebrating. Why? You said, what are you celebrating?
Because the post just got bigger. These are the problem with Nigeria. The things needs to change.
Yes, but those things are all driven by economists, right? So, and as I have always said, if you look at our immediate past history, there has been only 7 economies, 6 countries, because Hong Kong and China are now almost integrated into one country. 7 economies that have made that transition from a low income economy to a higher income economy. And according to the World Bank, the only way you can make that transition possible is for you to have a GDP economic growth continuously without interruption for a period of about 40 to 50 years with minimum of about 4.5% GDP growth year on year.
That is not achievable at this
point. All the countries that have made, those 7 economies that have made that transition, that's exactly what they did. And if you look at, they have a group of another 14 economies that are coming more. Some that have been in that, some that have been in that trajectory for longer than about 20 years or thereabout. Ethiopia is one of them, for example. So you have to expand your economy. You have to develop your economy. You have to grow your GDP. And while you are doing that, also make sure that it's an inclusive growth. When you do that for a prolonged period of time, all of these problems that we are seeing, is social issues here, educational issues here, health issues here, they will all be on the way. Even security challenges.
Okay, yeah.
They will all be on the way.
Itself.
So at the end of the day, it still comes down to, do we have a government that is focused enough for that type of level of development?
Okay. I think
for me, it's all about politics. It's all about the next election. So who is going to win the next election? And now, even low level corruption has now just become even part of governance in Nigeria.
It is.
So in the past, it used to be done in behind closed doors, but now it's just open, brazen.
Exactly, because there have been no accountabilities.
Yes.
There's been no consequences.
No consequences.
And so that is what happened.
No consequences. When the person at the head, look at what the person at the head is doing. One, trying to capture, state functions, trying to, make the country a one-party system, and also supporting things that are undemocratic and helping his own party to rig elections in local elections, governorship election and things like that. So you can't have a situation like that or they be able to create the environment where you can mobilize the people behind your vision to support you and grow the country constructively. You can't. It is not possible.
I agree.
So you know that example has to start from the top. You have to be above board. And for goodness sake, why is President Tinubu not above politics? Why is politics his main preoccupation?
But that's his business. It's a business.
It's killing the country.
It is a business.
Yes.
It's not just him. It's everyone before him. They've had the same disease, I'll say.
But I don't know of any other president, whether in this dispensation or in previous other civilian dispensation, that has constructively and knowingly tried to destroy the democratic principles of the country. I don't know of any other president that have done that. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know of any other president that I know
it's a strategist.
So what strategy? Strategy to what aim? To what goal?
To become opposed.
You become unopposed, or you win as the president, and you are possibly then able to transfer power to your family or to someone you want, a hand-picked person. And so what? Does that move the country forward?
Do they care about the moving country?
They don't care.
I think you were missing. These people don't care about moving the country forward. I think they just, when they are there, it's their retirement home. They want to better their family and their family, even the ones that are not born yet.
Yes.
They are the expense of everyone else. There's no discussion about how to make the country better for everybody. Who is going to be carrying their handbags and putting umbrella over their head when it's rainy if everybody can take care of themselves?
Yeah, but what are the consequences? The consequences today, the number one issue we have been talking about, security issues.
Exactly. So
that security issues now is not just affecting you and I, it's affecting everyone. They themselves don't also have that easy movement or easy access that they used to have. They now hide behind bulletproof cars and bulletproof.
They lock themselves away
and lock themselves away like they are in prison.
Yes, they call themselves. When you think they are in prison, they think they have arrived because they cannot walk now. They walk on the street with gunmen looking around. They feel very protected. They are bulletproof vehicles. They feel untouchable. You see in Sri Lanka, government officials did that for many years until Sri Lankan people could no longer handle it.
Yes,
they run the president out of the country.
Yes,
I mean they went into the presidential villa in Sri Lanka in Colombo. They jumped into the pool. Police were everywhere. Soldier was everywhere, but the people were just too much. They overpower everybody. The president jumped on a helicopter and ran out of the country. Till now, never returned.
We are getting very close to that situation. I doubt that. Because for every drivers of that type of popular people's revolution, or whatever it is that you call it, the most potent weapon, and which is usually always the last, is hunger.
Yeah, but Nigerians, I don't think they have that unity.
It's hunger. So people are hungry now.
I don't think Nigeria has that unity to come together and want to run out government officials out of the country. The country is just too divided. The north, the south, the east, and the west. Everyone is too divided. I was in Italy a few weeks ago. I met one man who I said, "Hey, how are you? Are you from Igbo land?" They said, "No, I'm Biafra." Even in the east, there is a division within themselves. In the north, there are divisions. In the south, across these four regions, there are divisions. If the south is protesting, the north will not participate because they have a number of people benefiting from it. You see, and so we will never have that unity.
Yeah, the patronage system.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's difficult.
Yeah. At the end of it, people are also looking at, they want to remove him because he's my tribe.
Yes.
Or they want to remove him because it's my party.
Yeah, tribal policy.
Or you also have people who are benefiting directly from the government. They don't want patronage to stop.
Agreed. And my brother wouldn't want to protest against me if I put him in power.
Yeah.
If I become the commissioner, I say you are my personal aide. Exactly. So this is how it is. Nepotism over here in the UK is a big thing.
Yes.
It is not a thing in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So this is the beginning of corruption.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm a minister here in Nigeria, I can just elect my mother, my father, my everybody to work in my office. Nobody is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you cannot do it here. So beginning of corruption, that is where it all starts from. Yeah. So there are a lot of problems in Nigeria. Let me. I wanted to quickly bring it down to the recent threat by the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump, who has threatened to go after the Muslims in the north for attacking or killing Christians living in the northern part of Nigeria. So what is your take? Do you think that Donald Trump is going to drop a bomb in the northern part of Nigeria because the government have refused to protect Christians? Because he also mentioned that they have failed to obey the rules of President Muslim, Vice President Christian, that the practice that have been in existence for years, that the current government refused to obey it, which means they are trying to fully control the Christians. So what is your take on it?
Well, despite the security challenges that Nigeria has, most people, including myself, don't see those type of issues that way, that a foreign government has the right. I think it's against international law to interfere in the internal affairs of a country. So I have seen the tweets from President Trump, and I think that they are very valid concerns that he has raised about people being killed in some part of the country, and now there's religious dimension to it, that Christians are being killed, but I think also Muslims are also being killed as well. So yeah, but who is actually perpetuating this as they are mostly Islamic fundamentalists?
That is his angle.
Or terrorists or whatever.
That is his angle.
So the question now is, who has the capacity to wipe out terrorism from another country? I mean, America as a country have tried it in so many places. Were they able to stop it in Iraq? They've been in Iraq now for how many years? Were they able to stop it in other countries like Yemen or in Somalia or in Afghanistan? The same Taliban that they chased out of power in Afghanistan, are they not back to power in Afghanistan? Don't we all know what is going on in those countries? Women being, oppressed and not allowed to even go to school, not allowed to even benefit from their educational system or things like that. So I have my doubt whether any one superpower country can just wake up, go to another country and say, oh, we want to come and wipe out terrorism in your country. I don't think that is feasible, and I cannot see any example of it in history where it was successfully done. Nowhere.
Yeah, but having this now on the international.
Yeah, but I think it's actually producing quite a lot of result actually.
Good.
So you can see now that the government are scrambling now, trying to appear to
be dealing with
it or to be on top of it. You now see the movement of security personnel. So yeah, I understand the threat, and I understand that it has legitimate concerns. People being killed. Nobody wants to see human beings being killed anywhere in the world. But I think I don't see how that is feasible or possible for another country to say, oh, we're going to go into your country and we will come and wipe out terrorists in that country. So even if eventually decide that that is what they are going to do and come into Nigeria to try to see whether they can help Nigerians wipe out the terrorists, the possibility of that succeeding is I don't see it, because they have not been able to do it anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, but the elevated threat and the elevated activities in terms of the security positioning and things like that, that's a welcome development.
It made them sit up.
They are trying to sit up. Yes. I don't know. That's the impression that we are getting in the public space, but whether they are actually doing that much, we don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking time to speak with me today. Yes, I'll be speaking with Mr. Paul Nosa Ogiehor here in the United Kingdom. We'll be talking just about everything, and security to politics to the economy and all. So, and we'll be coming to an end for this program, and I hope it's been very, very insightful. We hope by next episode we will be able to have another person to discuss this matter with. Mr. Paul Nosa Ogiehor lives here in the United Kingdom, and I'm going to post his Facebook handle right on the screen for you to follow him if you have any questions or continuation of this discussion. If you want, if you have your own say or what you think, if you disagree with some of his points, please send him a private message. He'll be very available to discuss this further with you. And I want to thank you today for all your time, and I hope to see you in the next episodes. Mr. Nosa Ogiehor, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Once again.
Well, and enjoy the rest of the week, everybody. Take care. Bye.